Oh, my bad. Welcome to another episode of the Big One.
Short of it all.
This episode.
I'm looking at the wrong camera.
Oh, because you got your camera over there?
Yeah.
And my camera's over here?
Well, I mean, you can look at that one. That's well, it don't matter.
Well, the people's camera's over here.
The people's camera, like the people's elbow.
Mm-hmm.
If you smell.
Did you want me to finish it? Oh, okay. Because you paused it, I didn't know if you wanted me to complete it. With the rockets cooking?
With the rock. With the rock!
Because you know the what do you say? The power dynamic is about to in the DC universe is about to shift.
Which what's his name? Ryan Reynolds said that, and I was like, I wonder how many people got that.
I haven't thought about it. Well, we'll get to it. I guess since we did the non-spoiler, we can just jump right in. I mean, obviously, how do you feel like we should do? Do you think we should go the flow of the film, talk about each part and how we felt, or just jump all around?
I see whatever I say, however it goes. I mean, it don't matter to me. I do want to, since we were talking about the Rock, we can get into wrestling a little bit later. Hopefully, remember.
All right. I guess I mean we can start with because you've already said you gave it what, 4 out of 5?
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Mm-hmm. I gave it 4 out of 5. It's great. You gave it 4 out of 10. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
So I guess we can just start. What was your thoughts about the opening? Well, this is a spoiler.
Yeah. So since by this time anybody that really cares about the movie has probably already seen Deadpool and Wolverine.
Maybe a couple times.
Yeah. So spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine.
All the spoilers. This is the last time I'm going to warn you. I'm not going to say it again.
And as a matter of fact, we're going to debut the new grading system that we have. So obviously the short of it all. So I'm going to measure movies by height. So 1 foot is 1 star, 2 foot 2 stars, 3 foot 4 foot 5 foot. 5 foot is going to be a short king. That's going to be like the perfect movie. And then of course we're going to have rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you are the rewatch king as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll say that this is a 2 foot movie.
Okay.
Yeah, if you multiply 5, 2, 4.
Yeah, I feel like you asked
too much.
You explain it. They got it.
All right.
So, how did you feel about the opening part?
All right. So a lot of this movie I felt like was soulless.
Mm-hmm.
So both times I watched it, I was just thinking that this is gratuitous. Isn't the word I was looking for, but it was kind of like it was pointless. But at the same time, it's opening credits, so it's not like it's necessarily something that's supposed to be special.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first Deadpool movie was on a highway, cars flipping over, and it was just putting names, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this was fun. I did enjoy it. I didn't necessarily. I was trying to put bye Court to something. I don't know if it was Logan. Obviously he was sent off. I don't know if that's playing on that because it's kind of like desecrating his body, bringing him back.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know what the point of the bye song was, but it was definitely fun. I'll say that.
Okay. I was cool with it.
Yeah.
It didn't. I ain't gonna say I loved it. If they didn't do it, I wouldn't have missed it. I was cool with it.
If you just think of it as an opening credits, it's fun. It's fun opening credits. To be honest, it is relevant to the story. So when it comes down to it, it's stupid. So that's the part that I was kind of torn about.
But I guess I'm also thinking about like the dancing part.
Yeah.
Like the dancing part, I could have did without it. To me, this is a horrible reference, but just go with me.
Okay.
To me, the him fighting with the bones and all of that, I was great with that.
Mm-hmm.
The dancing, cutting back into him dancing. Well, probably wasn't him, but like whoever was dancing to bye bye bye, doing a routine. I equate it to like the singing in the Marvels.
Yeah.
Movie.
Okay.
I didn't hate it, but if they didn't do it, I would have missed it.
I agree with that.
Like it wasn't like it didn't take away from the film, but at the same time, it was like that's cool.
It's a great introduction to the comedy of the film. Like most of the comedy is like it's funny. The dancer was funny, but Yeah,
I was alright with it. I don't have a. I mean, I'm unlike some people. I don't. Well, I haven't heard anything about people having an issue with it. But me personally, I didn't have an issue with like what they, him digging up the body and stuff like that. Because the big buzz was how they gonna do this without besmirching the name of the Logan movie. I never really cared about how they did it. Like it didn't seem like that big of a deal to me.
Nobody I know was like, oh, they're selling, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. Like I'm sure we're more excited about him being in this movie than we are about, hey, he had a great send-off, leave him alone. I think everybody's fine.
Well, I mean, too, how they did it, it's still like, it didn't do anything to ruin that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it acknowledged like that movie was still a great movie. It was a good sack, which they mentioned a few times throughout the movie, but it didn't like, let's rewrite that movie. It's just like, hey, this happened, I'm gonna dig up his body. So I don't think that really did anything to ruin Logan or whatever.
So us being in the moment, that's sure, but then like, okay, I was gonna say if we look at, from the future, if we look back at it, is it going to be kind of like the Palpatine thing? But the Palpatine thing was immediately everybody was upset about that.
Yeah.
Nobody's upset about this now. So maybe it's not going to be like Palpatine, but it does seem like, hey, Palpatine died, then he died again.
Yeah, but it is that which Palpatine thing you talk? Because the thing with Palpatine is they brought Palpatine back, and they kept trying to say it's the same Palpatine.
And not only that, like the sequels, they didn't necessarily lead up to like, hey, that we're leaving clues like Palpatine is still alive. No, he just came out of nowhere.
But also, like I said, this is like, they established, even though like, granted, it's the same character, the same actor, they established it's a different person. Palpatine was like, nah, we just brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
But how did he come back? Yeah, he back. Yeah. That's the same one from other movies. He came back.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. So alright, so opening was cool.
I do have one more thing to say about the opening.
Go ahead.
So when I'm watching the fights, you when you watch action movies, a lot of time you'll see people like there's one person fighting a whole bunch of people, and then if you like really look at the extras, like they'll like swing and then they'll get hit, so they'll come stumble over, and then they'll just like wait until it's my turn, and it's not really realistic. So with this, people are just coming with some sticks. And of course it's for pruning, but it's like these guys are obviously being mutilated. At some point you gotta say, we gotta fall back and rethink this strategy. Nah, let's just throw a whole bunch of people. So, me analyzing things like it's stupid, but for the comedy, for the movie, I understand.
Well, also they needed enough people to fight to last a whole NSYNC song.
Yeah.
So they had to throw more people. Hey, because the song was like 2-3 minutes long. We got to throw enough people to have enough action for them. So nah. I guess since you bring it up, like, what did you think about the overall action in the movie?
All right. You know what? How about you go first? I know you asked me first, but I don't have a very good way of explaining how I feel. So mine's probably going to take a little bit of time.
I mean, honestly, I hadn't really thought about it. But if I had to think about it, action-wise, I like the action. This is probably which I don't know if you talked about it in the last video. I think I kind of hinted to it. There's only one piece that I didn't like that also has to do with because of the character when he fought Sabretooth. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that fight should have been longer. Yep. But you had the real good fight scene when they first got to the Void. You had the van fight, which I loved. You had the big fight with all the extra characters and stuff at the end, which was great. The Deadpool fight, the Deadpool core fight, I loved it. As far as like just the visualization. God dang it.
Visualization. Well, I don't know if I said it right.
The visualization.
There you go. Yeah.
How it looked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I struggle with that word, man. But like, it looked nice. I just say that. Keep it simple. Especially when they cut to like the side panel view of it all. But as far as all the action go, I liked it. I mean, I don't like I said. The only issue I had with the Sabretooth one, it was too short. I'm trying to think of any action that I didn't like. I can't think of all of it right now. Because there's also been a minute since I've seen it. Go ahead.
All right.
So you want to rip into it. Go ahead.
I'm on the flip side of it. To me, none of the fight scenes were like. To me, I'm not gonna say weightless. I can't figure out the word that I'm looking for. But they're fight scenes, and they're just there. At no point does the fight scenes seem like they have stakes or like they're just there to be there. Like
Can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Do you feel that way because I feel like the reason why I like the action as well as why I like most action and most stuff I watch is because my ultimate thought process is if I'm invested in the story, it's going to make it seem better. Do you think because you weren't really invested in the story, it didn't? Because that's the way I can think it seems weightless if you didn't care what was going on.
No, even though I thought the story would, I was interested in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think...
But you weren't invested, though. That's a difference.
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, maybe not invested in this, the fight. No, I think I could separate, if I separate them. So let me just explain. So, let's just put the first fight scene with the credit scene, that's aside. Because we already talked about that. This opening credit scene, I can separate that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these two characters who essentially can die. I mean, obviously Logan, Wolverine died. But if you just take them at their base, if they go against each other, it's going to be difficult, especially for Deadpool to kill Wolverine, because it's made of adamantium. Mm-hmm. And I guess they explained somehow, I'm not going to say how, they just automatically said, hey, my swords are adamantium. We're not going to talk about how they're... That's something separate.
Yeah, because when they got the TVA, they gave them adamantium katanas.
Where did they get adamantium from? Like, adamantium is supposed to be a substance that really can be replicated. Mm-hmm. But okay, all right. So that's
a nitpicky thing.
Yeah. Okay, so the fights. If you understand their powers, then sure, stab is what you would expect from the movie. Mm-hmm. But you can still do that in a way that gives the fights gravitas. It's like if I want to go back to Winter Soldier. You have Bucky versus Captain America. Mm-hmm. And Captain America has a shield. Bucky, he has his arm, so it's like whenever they hit the shield, they don't emphasize it, but you can see it's shield versus
mm-hmm.
metal arm. Then he's got this knife. He drops the knife, and it's like the action is personal, as opposed to stab. Like,
well, see, it felt personal to me though.
What about it was personal?
Well, okay, okay. So you're saying. When you compare Winter Soldier, that's a different personal. Sure. I'm saying personal in the sense of maybe I should use the word personal, because typical superhero situation is two people meet, they fight, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, one needs the other more than the other needs the other. So we're fighting because we gotta basically get that out the way. Because I don't want to be here, but I need you. So there's stakes to it because it's I can't just let you walk away. But at the same time, I'm not going to let you keep me here. So the fight happens.
So yeah, I guess so. Personal, I honestly can't figure out the word I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. But the reasoning for them fighting, especially the van, if I had to choose every fight scene in the movie, I would pick the van as the one that I like the most. Mm-hmm. Just because that one, Wolverine realized that Deadpool kind of lied to him and he wanted to say his anger. We don't have to talk about it. Mm-hmm. We don't. So. That fight, out of all the fights, seemed like the most, not realistic, but the one that mattered. Because you lied to me. I'm in a situation because you want to mess you up.
But here's my only pushback though. Yes, this is a movie, but this is a movie based off of comic book characters, right? Mm-hmm. How many times in comic books do superheroes meet and fight and they have no reason to fight?
I mean, I would say they do, but most of the time, like I said, there's reasons for them to fight. Let me finish. Mm-hmm. So, I guess what I'm expecting from this movie is, first of all, the first fight. All right, let's give the people what they came for. Come on. So Wolverine getting on all fours. I was like, all right, we're about to have Wolverine, comic book Wolverine, and I mean, we didn't really get into Berserker thing. We didn't get into him just crack. It didn't really seem like they really cared about. Even though the suit and being on all fours seemed comic accurate, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I was looking at comic. Okay.
It's like you argue both sides at the same time.
So what I'm looking for This guy, these two people, Wolverine has an adamantium, skull, skeleton, blah blah blah. He can heal, and Deadpool, he has adamantium. I guess they gave him adamantium swords just to say why his swords won't break. That's the only thing I can think of. So, let's say Wolverine and them, like he slashed them, and it's rated R. Let's get into it. Maybe Disney said, it's rated R, but let's hold back. Maybe not. Whatever. Slash him. You can see like his hands split apart, and then like Wolverine just like just an animal instinct, and he hold his hand up, it heals, and then we come back, and just a little bit like let's dive more into what makes these characters instead of being superficial stab stab stab. Let's see them regenerating. Let's see what makes Wolverine a feral beast, and what makes Deadpool this person who, in the van, he got his arm bent, blah blah blah. That's the kind of stuff I want to see, but they didn't really show Deadpool being this person who almost has a reckless fighting to him, because he can just get messed up and just regenerate and keep going.
My only pushback to that would be and Deadpool didn't want to fight. He was more so in defense mode than he was actually offense.
Sure, but we can still see like parts of him being ripped off. And
I'm more so arguing as far as like him being reckless. Like, I don't think he's being reckless because at the end of the day, he didn't want to fight Wolverine. It was more so like, well, since we want to do it, all right, I'll do it, but I don't really want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I just need your help. In the van, it was more so kind of like he had a reason to do it, because it's like you talked about, you made it personal to talk about me and my stripper girlfriend. Now I'm actually going to be reckless and come at you because I'm feeling a reason to fight you, as opposed to before it was just like, if you want to fight me, we can do it.
Yeah. I just wanted to see a little bit more detail in the fight, I guess. Maybe that's the way.
So the issue isn't the actual fight or the action, it's just you didn't see enough of gore or blood that you wanted to.
It was just superficial. The fight was just very superficial. It's like let's make the fight flashy and not substance.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I just don't agree. But I get your point. I get your point.
And it can be emphasized on the fight when, the cameos, I'm just going to call them cameos, the group cameo. They go to, the Ant-Man, and then that. Just let's have flash, but no substance.
Cameos,
yeah, I know. Like, I was thinking about that. I don't know if it was yesterday.
The people they fought, those are cameos.
I was thinking about that, yesterday or the day before. I was like, because he said that, like, if they contribute to the story, then he doesn't. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? I don't think they contributed enough, but that's again split.
Well, when I say contribute, meaning like, okay, there was a reason why they had to find them. There's a reason why they helped them go to Cassandra Nova's place. Now, the people who work for Cassandra, they had no lines. You had old buddy Azazel over there just popping in it. Like, that's a cameo.
Yeah.
He did nothing.
Yeah.
He showed up. Oh, poof, I'm here. I'm over here. Poof, I'm going to go to 3 people to the right. Like, that's a cameo.
Okay.
Like the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
He's a cameo. Because he wasn't even the same character. You had a variant of Bullseye, apparently, that everybody's pointing out. That, because, okay, so you remember the trailer? It was like a black dude in like a leather coat. Everybody thought it was going to be like a variant of Blade or Sticky Fingers from the Blade show. He worked for Cassandra Nova.
Sure.
Apparently, from internet sources, everybody's saying he was, because if you look here like Bullseye stuff on him, so he's supposed to be like a variant of Bullseye. You see what I'm saying? Because he was a cameo. You never saw that.
There's a whole bunch of mess going on that I didn't really, what's the word, focus on anybody.
Because apparently there was a variant of Psylocke there as well.
I noticed that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would consider those cameos because they did nothing.
And so what I was saying was that whole fight was very superficial and didn't have any substance. They just came in here, hey, I want to make a name for myself. And so we have, let's say, 50 people fighting for. One person just have size. Mm-hmm. No armor or anything. She just has these little, Raphael size. Gambit, Blade, I can, kind of give it to him. I want to say he has a healing factor, some kind of, even though it's probably very, very minuscule, he has some kind of healing factor. Gambit, I think he's more capable that he would survive longer than Electra would. But what I'm trying to say is that what they fell victim to was like, they were just. It was like a CGI battle, even though it wasn't CGI. Just the end of the movie battle that just didn't amount to. You have all these people pick guns, people with guns shooting nobody. So I don't even know why they even had them in there. And then like 20, 30 other people. It just didn't make sense. It was there for the Flash. That's all it was.
Yeah, but like here's the thing, James. Like at the end of the day, what's wrong with the Flash?
It's not substance. Like it's just.
They had substance.
What substance?
The substance is the reason why they were there. The substance is the fact of like there's this whole because the whole movie, right? I ain't say 75% of the movie. There's stuff that if you don't pay attention to comic books, previous superhero movies, outside world, you're not going to know anything about. If I'm a regular person, I don't know anything about an Electra movie or a Blade movie or whatever, blah. So it's kind of like, to the people who do know, it was more so kind of like, this is a send-off or like a last showing of these Fox movies that nobody really talks about anymore. Electra movie came out, failed. Blade movie came out, nobody give him credit for anything. Gambit never had anything. X-23, she had one movie, but like it was okay, but she didn't do anything after that. So it's kind of like this is like a send off. So it's like, hey, we're gonna bring y'all together. We're gonna let y'all showcase y'all abilities and talents in this fight, give y'all the reason and purpose to fight in this movie, and we're gonna. This is it. This is y'all moment. They made a name for themselves. I'm about to make a name for myself.
I don't think anybody's talking about them at all. Maybe Gambit.
Everybody's talking about them.
I know people was like, oh, hey, Wesley Snipes was in the movie. Nobody was like, oh, Wesley Snipes was kicking butt. No. People were talking about Gambit, but that's it.
What up? I'm not even talking about them fighting. I'm talking about just the fact of them being there. And like, people are talking about Blade, they talk about Electra, they talk about Gambit, they talk about all of them.
That they were there, but they're not talking about that fight, is what I'm trying to say. That the fight had no consequence. They could have easily, Wolverine and Deadpool could have easily have done the going in there, chopped some people up, and then made it to Cassandra Nova just as easily as all 6 of them.
James.
It would have been the exact same outcome.
Just because people don't talk about the fight doesn't mean it didn't have any consequence.
What was the consequence? What came of that? Who died?
Nobody.
Exactly. There was no consequence.
Well, okay, maybe not consequence. I guess what I'm saying is just because people don't talk about the fight doesn't mean everybody didn't appreciate it. Do you talk about every fight scene that you watch in every movie that you see?
If I go to a movie and there's a fight scene that was great or that had consequence, yes, we talk about that. So Endgame, Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. You got all this other stuff. Wolverine, Iron Man getting
you talk about the women in the fight?
It has been talked about, yes.
Listen, do you?
No.
Okay.
Because that had no consequence.
But did it have weight?
No. It did not.
Yes, it did.
They didn't even, all they did was like, they dropped down, we're here, and then they disappeared. They didn't even.
You talk about Ms. Marvel fighting?
In that movie?
Yes.
So she came and blew up some ships.
And she fought him.
Oh, she got a punch in, but then he punched her with the Power Stone or something like that.
I can't with you, man.
I'm just so what I'm just trying to say. I'm trying to and like you.
I get what you're saying.
Have, like,
I get what you're saying. The point I'm making is just because you don't talk about something, or just because a lot of people don't talk about something, doesn't mean they didn't like it or they didn't appreciate it. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, if you're not talking about it, then that means that it didn't mean anything to you.
James, if you don't talk about every single thing in the movie, that doesn't mean that it didn't mean something to you. It just means you had other moments that you liked more.
Exactly.
Right, but that doesn't make the action less. It just means I like this moment more. That's the difference between like me saying something is an 8 over a 10. Just because I talk about the 10 more than 8 doesn't mean I don't appreciate the 8.
We just have to disagree. So, everything was superficial. It was just, hey, these people, they came in, 4 people, what's his name? Juggernaut's feet got cut off. And then at the end, Goliath came and did not devour anybody. So why is he even in the movie?
Do you know he didn't devour anybody?
Yep.
How do you know?
because at the end of the movie, Laura Kinney showed up because Deadpool said, "Hey, can you do something about these other people?" So Laura Kinney survived, which means that the other people survived. And if
But
they
how do
didn't,
you? But how do you know she survived though?
because she was at the end of the movie with
No, what
Wolverine.
I'm saying is, like, how do you know? Okay, you saw she survived, right? She's at the end. Do you know how that happened?
Elias didn't kill her
But I'm saying, do you know why he didn't kill her?
because the movie sucked at not telling us. Like if Elias came and did his job, those sacrifices, which would have gave the whole thing substance,
The point
would have happened.
The point I'm making is, Jim,
Mm-hmm.
you said yourself they talked to the person who is in the TVA,
Mm-hmm.
who can do what?
She has already made it clear that she's not going in the past and changing things.
No, she didn't say she couldn't. She just said why, because what the past did for him made him able to do what he did now. She didn't say I can't or I won't. It was just in that particular situation, I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say I'm not ever going to go in the past.
So you believe that she came in, risked her life in
I'm
front
not-
of Elias,
I'm not saying
and
all
said,
I'm simply
"Hey, come with me."
all I'm simply saying is you're implying something that didn't happen based on what you weren't shown. All I'm saying is just because you weren't shown something doesn't mean that automatically happened.
And you're implying that it did happen.
No, all I'm simply saying is, old girl showed up at the end of the movie. You don't know how she got there. I don't know how she got there. Who's the city to say Elias didn't gobble her or did gobble her? I don't know. We didn't see it.
If he gobbled her, she would not be able to.
But all I'm saying, James, is we don't know how she got there.
And that's the
because
whole
we didn't
point
see it.
that I'm saying is that this movie is not necessarily trying to have its cake and eat it too, but it's about fan service. Fan service does not make the movie good. It does not make the movie good. So you have this being that comes and devours people, but we're not going to let it devour the fan service.
James, the 70% of the movie is fan service,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep, which is what made it not good to me.
To you.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the fans, okay, that's why I go back to my original point of
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it didn't matter to you because you weren't invested in the story.
So, yes. And I think in general, no, I'm not going to say that. But that's me. So the whole thing was us reviewing. You've got your review, I've got mine. Fan service doesn't make the movie good.
Well, and I'm not saying the fan service made the movie good to me. I agree with you. Fan service doesn't make a movie good. I'm just saying I enjoyed the movie more because of the fan service as well as because of the actual story that was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was invested. So therefore, certain things that happened, whether it be Elias gobbling or not gobbling people, I give it a pass because I'm invested in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't really care about the story, you were interested, but you didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to nitpick a lot more because you don't give two craps about the story. That's my overall point.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's where we differ. Like, yes, I agree with you on certain things. Like, obviously there's plot holes, but like every movie has plot holes. There's no movie that's not plot hole free.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is if you're invested enough in the story to where like you're enjoying the ride that they're giving you,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to focus on it because you're enjoying the story. But since you didn't get invested, everything sticks out to you because it's like, I don't really care about this movie anymore.
If there's enough plot holes, if there's enough inconsistencies, if there's enough that's going to drag the movie down, then yes, I will not be interested in the other parts.
Mm-hmm.
So Deadpool core fight. That was another part that was. So there was parts of the movie where I was comparing them to others. So when Wolverine and Deadpool held hands, thought about Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when they all had the Power Stone in their hand. So this had nothing to do with MCU, but when they had the side-scrolling view, I thought of Mario. And of course, I didn't really care for the Mario movie, but that's not why I didn't like that. I didn't like that because you have these two people going against 50, 60, 70 other people. Should not have won, but they did for the movie. And the whole time I'm just thinking, like, they all regenerate. Like you have, like, let's just say, or the main Deadpool, or at least one of these Deadpools was on the level of the main Deadpool. Then that should be a one-on-one fight that should be lasting longer. But no, we're just going to fly through all these Deadpools, and then at the end we're going to turn around and then just see them regenerate. I aren't. So I just, kind of wasted my time because one, I mean, you got to see a little bit of action, but then you got to the bus, you couldn't really see the action, and it's like, which it's there, and then what made it worse is like, Peter's going to be the, you know what, we're not going to fight anymore. We can't, because if we keep fighting, they're not going to ever get to the end of the movie. So let's just throw this weird thing, and it's Deadpool. Like, it's Deadpool, so I mean, I can understand that. It's stupid, but it's a Deadpool movie. But in total, again, it's just.
Well, that's why I go back to my original point. You're not liking it. You're not being invested, because like even though I was invested in the story to the point where I was enjoying the movie, it doesn't mean I don't have parts that I didn't like or that I felt certain types of way about, like the Deadpool fight. Even though I like the action of it, like the side scroll, all that kind of stuff, didn't fight on the bus, whatever, him jumping out the bus looking artificial, cool. Did I feel like the fight ended, somewhat kind of abruptly? Yes. But at that point, I was already into the story, so like I was cool with it. I let it go. Do I agree with you on that part? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm already invested in the story, so like I'm like, hey man, we've already kind of running along. I get why they cut it off. Fan service, I'll take it. Nice to see the different Deadpools. Hey, that's what's up. That was nice pool gently touching the fourth wall. The proposal, I'll take that.
I enjoyed that. I get, and sure, a Deadpool against all the another, that could have been fun. But you know what? I just mother. I just would have, after all the shooting, nice pool, and Wolverine walking over with the, and then we got Wolverine, and then let's just have Peter come out and like, you know what? Go ahead, and then we can just avoid the fight and just keep it going. I actually would have been okay with that.
Yeah, I'm still glad we got to see them actually fight though.
Yeah.
But that's what I say. Like, I don't think that, I'll say it this way. I don't think that me and you differ too much on the way certain things happened. It's just because I was enjoying the story and I was invested in it. I let certain things go to the point where I don't care how this worked out. I enjoyed it, had fun time with it. Like, hey, that was fun. That was a nice little joke. I laughed. Oh man, good action. That's what's up. But because you are already not in it, it's like everything sticks out more to you. This was a good moment. Then the next moment comes and it's like, all right, that was horrible. Oh, that's a decent moment, and whatever. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like that's how you are. Now I'll tell you my biggest gripe, and this is a twofold thing. This is my biggest negative that I have against the movie / marketing.
Okay.
I don't think they should put X-23 in the last trailer.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, because like, one, I probably should just stop watching trailers anyways. But one, like, I didn't like the fact that they put it in the trailer because, it could have been a bigger surprise when the movie came out. And the only reason why it makes it such a bigger disappointment is because in the movie, they play it as like, who is this person that rescues them? All you see is these feet walking up. I already know who it is. I seen the trailer. And then when they come in to meet, when Blade walks in, Elektra, Gambit, it's like, oh, there's four of y'all? I'm the fourth. And then like this slow pan. We already know it's her.
And not only that, like, so when they said there was four, because they didn't know that Johnny Storm was dead, I was thinking that the fourth person was Johnny Storm. Nope, here's Laura. So before you knew that Johnny was dead, it was five of you. But
well, they said he was already went missing though.
Yeah.
So why would they say five if they knew he was missing?
Yeah, I guess if they
was like I hadn't seen him in a couple of days, so.
Because they did say that everybody was dying when they go fight Cassandra Nova, so maybe they just assumed, even though they didn't say that he was dead. They just said he was missing.
Well, like I said, I just look at it as like they said it's on. The reason why they say it four is because they hadn't seen him in a couple of days, so they don't know where he's at. So
yeah. If
it's only four of us walking in the room, why would we say five? It's only four of us walking in.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole thing of like they slowly, built the moment her walking in. Like already, took the reveal away from me.
You can, besides Blade. Well, I don't know if you knew, but I knew Channing Tatum was going to be Gambit in there. But Blade was like the only real surprise. So
all of them were surprising me.
they were trying to make, with all of them, with Elektra, with Blade, with Gambit, all of them, it was like an intro kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess, to my point, because you already knew, I didn't know anything about it, so I had no idea who was coming in. I had my thoughts, who I suspected. I figured maybe a Gambit or whatever, but I knew, only one I knew for a fact was Elektra. That's probably the only one I knew for a fact. And I knew Johnny Storm was going to show up, but we already saw him. I was like, all right, well, he's already out.
Yeah.
So when they did it, I was like, oh, who's coming in? Oh, Elektra. All right, cool. Oh, Blade? What? Gambit? And then it was like, oh, there's one more. I already know. I already know who it is. I already know who. Like, I guess my thing is, if you're going to show in the trailer, like, I get it. You want to put it in the trailer because you're trying to grab more tickets, more money. But then don't go to the movie and it builds this moment of like, ooh, who is this person? Well, you just put it in the trailer. Like, we already know who it is.
So I will say that even though I knew, Laura Kinney was going to be in the movie, when she was like walking down the stairs in the silhouette, I was like, oh, is that Rogue? Because, I thought, Logan, the first, 2 movies, well, I keep saying Logan. Wolverine, I know Logan was, but Wolverine and Rogue, they kind of had like the big brother, father kind of relationship, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh, that would have been nice. And then it was her. I was like, oh, okay.
But I knew it was nobody else but her, because it's like they already showed her in the trailer, so I knew she was gonna be in the movie. I knew she was gonna be talking with him at the fire, which I was like, all right, I knew it was gonna happen. So then when you see her boots walk up, I was like, it's got no choice but to be her. And then when they say it was 4 of us, I was like, well, I already know it's her because it's just based on it's got to be her. So who else could it be? I don't know. But that's probably my biggest gripe. And that's not even the movie, it's more so the marketing. But then again, like, I don't know. I think somebody said something about Kevin Feige. I don't know how true this is. I just read this somewhere online. That I think that they're contemplating doing from I don't know, from this point on or at some point on, only doing like one trailer, and that's it, and just showing that one trailer. And like maybe they may do like a few extra seconds or a few whatever, but like not like doing like two, 3 trailers or whatever. Just doing like one trailer. Again, I don't know how true that is. I hear stuff. I don't. It's purely rumors. I don't know. Overall, like, I know we kind of talked about it, but like, how did you feel about the cameos, as far as like the people that you saw, not what they did in the movie, but just how did you feel about them when you saw them?
So when I obviously, like I said, I knew everybody except Blade that was going to be in there. When I saw Blade, he was very small, very skinny, which obviously Wesley Snipes as an actor, he's older, so
60.
I understood why he was smaller. And this could be shallow, it could be, pointless, whatever. Could have gave him like a little, like a buff suit or something. I wouldn't say CGI, but just something to make him at least seem like he is the Blade of old and not necessarily somebody who haven't had a drop of blood in a while or something like that. And then on the flip side, Channing Tatum was the opposite. Gambit isn't necessarily muscular, and with the little thing that goes up his neck, it kind of seemed like his head was about to explode from being he was very thick, and I was like, it would have been nice if their bodies were swapped, but it's not me body shaming, just I guess how the comic book characters look. But besides that, I did not have a problem with, I don't want to say them, because obviously I had a problem with them, but Gambit was fun. I enjoyed Gambit. Blade was corny, and it wasn't a good outing. I wish it didn't happen for Blade. Even though I got excited when he popped up. It was very Disney MCU-ish, as opposed to like, if you're watching the original 3 movies, it didn't seem like it was the same Blade. And any other cameo. So, what's his name?
Elektra?
I don't care.
You didn't care about Elektra?
I don't care.
Why didn't you care about Elektra?
She's She was there. I mean, it's not. I didn't feel either way. Like I did not like her, and I didn't like her. I was just.
But you weren't at least excited to see her.
No, like I didn't. So she's not like the character isn't interesting to me. You know, the original movie. You know, I saw it. To me, the best part of the movie was the tattoo character who can like create beings from his tattoos on his body. I like that character more than anything else in the whole movie. The Elektra and the Daredevil TV show I thought was like brought the whole season 2 down. I actually hated it, and of course her being the Black Sky and the Defenders, it was all weird. So I didn't really care for that.
I am the complete opposite.
And then this movie, she was just there. Like she didn't. Of course, she was like the Captain America of the group, like the leader. She was the most spoken.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Just like I know how you feel about what she did, but like just her as a character showing up. You didn't you had no, oh man, Elektra, like it didn't care at all.
I guess because I just don't really care about her as a character.
Okay, that makes sense.
A woman with some size.
Me personally, I prefer the TV show Elektra over her.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, I would definitely pick the TV show.
I liked Elektra in the Daredevil TV show. Now I don't remember the whole I remember the Black Sky thing with. They put in like this little coffin thing, whatever. I don't remember every detail, but I just remember her being a highlight of this show, or that season, or whatever.
Yeah.
I am on the opposite end as far as like the Blade. How you feel about Blade as far as like I acknowledge he wasn't the Blade of old, but then again, I also didn't expect the Blade of old either. Because, I mean, even though I know these are people portraying comic book characters and they're supposed to be playing a role, I am also I'm also understanding he almost 60. What we got, I'm great with it. Sure. It was just, for me, it was just the fact that he was even in it, specifically considering the fact that him and Ryan Reynolds don't like each other. And they have a long history of not liking each other. Right. So I was more so just surprised for that. And then them making a joke out of it, too. As well, I like that. So like I was fun. I was fine with it. Elektra, she was cool. It was nice to see her, but then again, like I said, I already knew she was coming. But I'm kind of like you. I'm not really the biggest Elektra fan. Like I said, I'd probably take the TV show Elektra over her. Gambit. To be honest with you, I didn't like the suit at first, but then again, I couldn't really see it because like when he first walked out, like the headpiece, I couldn't really tell because I know like the cartoon version, you see his hair and all that, so I couldn't really tell the difference between the little head thing and his hair, but it grew on me after a while. Not gonna lie, I don't know if I would want to see a solo Gambit movie, but I would want to see him as Gambit going forward. Or at least show up in other movies. Yeah. The only reason I say I wouldn't want to see him. I'm not sure if I want to see him in a solo Gambit movie is because I just don't know. I don't know. I can't pinpoint what it is because it's not that I feel like he was horrible or that he can't do it. It's just I guess because it's been so long, I don't know what they would do with it, and I don't know how, especially since everybody's up in arms about where Marvel's going already, so it's kind of like I don't even know how they would. It's like them doing a Black Widow movie 10 years too late. Like it's like, what's the point? Yep. But I would definitely like to see him in other stuff going forward. He grew on me. I liked him. I mean, he was. I don't know how I feel about him having the what's his powers called?
Kinetic energy.
A kinetic staff?
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I kind of want him to have an actual staff, but I'm cool with that. It's okay.
I don't know why I thought it was a staff, but then he just charged it with kinetic. So I might have.
He had like you probably did. He had so you had the cards. Yep. You hit those, and then you would fall hand in hand. And he had a staff that was like purple, it was a kinetic staff.
I saw it was purple, but like I said, I just thought he had a regular staff, and then which didn't make sense to me because obviously if you have something, then it's going to explode with that kinetic energy. So, but
can't he control the kinetic energy though?
Yeah.
So I was saying, like, so if he doesn't want to explode, he can make it not explode.
But then, yeah, I mean, yes, I would say so. But then why charge it with kinetic energy? And I'm not. This not me asking you. I'm just trying to think like, why do it at all? Like, is it like, what does it do?
But you're talking about if he had a staff that he charged with kinetic energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm talking about like if you just had a pure kinetic, because
Gotcha.
you just had a kinetic staff that it came out of nowhere.
Okay, so no, and there has to be an actual object for him to give kinetic energy. I mean,
He didn't. I didn't see him have a staff.
so I'm thinking, I'm guessing, maybe that's just Kevin Feige says that he's like, a comic book, I don't want to say nerd. So he should know better. I mean, so I just thought of it like if that's the case, how Psylocke creates blades, sonic blades out of nothing, but that's not the same thing. So that shouldn't be.
I mean, maybe he picked up something. I don't know, because like I said, it was a lot going on, so I didn't see every single thing he did. But also, I know I don't read comics, so I know even though these are based on comics, I know everything is not 100% accurate. They play around with stuff.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I don't personally like it, but I will accept it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. How do you feel about the other cameos of the Wolverines?
Okay, so give me so I'm gonna go back because now that you talked about Blade and Gambit, I do want to touch on that stuff. So yes, even though I did enjoy Gambit, I don't think I could watch a whole movie of him talking unless he was to refine it to make it it was good as a joke, not being able to understand him. But obviously, if I'm watching a movie, I need to understand what you're saying. Unless you're gonna do subtitles, but that's not what that is. He's still speaking English, it's just with an accent. So I personally, when I was growing up, even though I didn't watch the X-Men animated series, everybody I knew, Gambit was their favorite X-Men.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
So I would be okay with a Gambit movie. If it is going to be Channing Tatum, he's got to get that accent down and make it,
Well, that's an easy fix. He's in the void. You can obviously have another Gambit who speaks differently.
But obviously they're from another universe. So if we were to do this universe, just like a lot of things, I would prefer, with Doctor Doom, I would prefer it to be a different actor. And while, there are reasons to have Robert Downey Jr., I'm, just going to, he's an amazing actor. So, I mean, I'm not saying, I personally don't think his mannerisms is Dr. Doomish, but we'll see. But Pedro Pascal, I prefer somebody else. Just get it. What I'm trying to say is, while I did enjoy Channing Tatum, I would probably prefer somebody else. Blade, when he was fighting, he had the little, I don't know what to call it, but the blade thing that he threw, and it went around, killed multiple people. That reminded me of the old Blade, and then like he turned and like looked at somebody, then he shot, and that person like flew back, old Blade, and then he said, still trying to skate uphill. I was like, You almost had it. That one, if you would have had a cool new line, I would have been all for it. But now we're recycling something new.
Yeah, it's nostalgia. Yeah, here's the thing, James. You have to acknowledge nostalgia plays a big part of a lot of people liking a lot of things.
But he was there. Like that was the nostalgia. We didn't need him to say that's like Batman and the Flash. Yeah, I'm Batman. That's fine. I give you one, that's fine. And then he
said it one time.
Nuts. I can get nuts. I was like, okay, all right. We don't have to. We don't.
Jam.
One is fine.
Nostalgia reigns supreme.
If you said, is that why the MCU is doing so well now?
Anybody said anything about the MCU? I'm talking just in general.
Because Flash didn't do well, and sure, no way.
Flash had other outside things playing against it. You got to acknowledge that as well.
Yes, it did.
Before the movie came out, a lot of people did not want to see it simply because of everything it had against it.
I guess what I'm alluding to is Kevin Feige. I think he has, everybody said the Marvel formula. So Marvel had a formula with their phases 2 and 3. They had a formula, and I think Kevin Feige has realized, like Endgame and Infinity War, almost the highest grossing movies of all time. Let's make that a formula. So now we're just doing cameos, nostalgia. That's kind of what I think the new formula is.
But here's the thing. Here's what you got to also acknowledge, just in your example alone. Infinity War and Endgame made all the money it made, one, because they are good movies, but they're also based on 30 years of nostalgia.
Exactly, but now we're trying to apply that to just Deadpool and Wolverine and No Way Home.
I don't know if they're doing that. I don't know if they're doing. I think what they're doing is they're using. I'm not saying they're not using nostalgia. I'm thinking what they're doing is they're using nostalgia as well as opening up the door to invite these people in later. So you do a No Way Home, you bring in the other Spider-Man because down the line you're going to bring in all of them in Secret Wars. So you got to open that door. Now, since you're going to open the door, we might as well throw some nostalgia because that's what the people like.
Which is proving my point. Like
But they're not doing that to every MCU movie, is what I'm saying.
But it's a lot like it was just Infinity War and Endgame.
Right, but I'm saying
was this movie, that movie, that movie.
But they're not doing that as a form. They didn't do it in Quantumania.
It's
They didn't do it in Guardians of 3.
It's happening more though.
But I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Your point is they're using that as a formula going forward. They didn't do it in every movie. They're doing it in certain movies that can be used to bring other characters later on.
Right, which is why I said Kevin Feige has now realized that this is the Marvel formula. So now, like they wasn't doing that since like the beginning of Phase 4. But this is getting us money. No Way, Homecoming. What's the name? The other one, Far From Home. Sure, they gross whatever, but No Way Home. Everybody, I want to say everybody loved the movie. Obviously, you're going to have
it's general consensus is it's a good movie.
Exactly. And then, I can't. I'm sure there was one other movie.
Wakanda Forever?
No, because that one wasn't like cameos. I'm trying to think. Anyway,
those are the movies though. Wakanda Forever, Guardians, Quantumania, this.
I feel like there was one more where they. I can't think.
The only two that they've done nostalgia, the quote unquote Infinity War Endgame formula that you're talking about, No Way Home, and this.
Okay.
I wouldn't even consider this in that formula range.
I definitely do. Because we got Fox X-Men 2000s being brought into this. So anyway, so now they're going to, in which I can understand it goes into Secret War. It goes into it's Doomsday now, but it goes into that stuff. So I understand why they're doing it. It calls for that. But my thing is like, if you were to do this on your own merit, you could have these characters. You can have Blade. You have Mahershala Ali. You have him. You already casted him.
Do you though?
He could have been easily. He easily could have replaced Blade and Wesley Snipes in this movie. And I don't want to say it would have been just as effective because obviously the nostalgia thing. But you have a Blade, and so it's like. Anyway, I would just prefer. Let's not do fan service. Like if you're doing fan service, don't like lean pretty much so much of a movie on it.
But the only part of fan service that they leaned heavy into in Deadpool was the Wolverine of it all. Everything else was just it was a part of the movie, but it wasn't a part of the whole of the movie.
But I mean, sure.
That's why you can give Blade nostalgia lines and give him nostalgia stuff because he's only in this section of the movie because he's servicing this part of the movie.
But it's still fan service. If it wasn't,
right, but that's what I'm saying. But I'm not saying it isn't fan service. What I'm saying is they didn't lean all the way into that fan service of that because they were in this section.
Right, but I'm just like in general. So yeah, other parts were Wolverine, and then.
That's what I said. Wolverine. Now, the only nostalgia that they leaned hard into was the Wolverine. Everything else was just like, this happened, all right. This happened, all right. Wolverine was throughout the whole thing. That's the only nostalgia that was there the entire time.
Still based on the suit, which I take that back. That is comic book. So I wouldn't even say that's nostalgia. That's the way things should be. So that part wouldn't be nostalgia. But anyway. Fan service, I don't remember what I was originally even getting at.
Your point is, like, you don't feel like fan service and nostalgia should make a movie good.
I was just saying that I would, like, let's go back to having, not original ideas, but instead of, like, the point of Secret Wars and all this stuff is to kind of consolidate all these different properties and all this stuff together. I got that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how, and maybe, okay, so they're established in different universes. So they have the Fox X-Men universe 10005, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Designation and then Doctor Strange, blah, 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 blah. Multiverse, I got it. I guess just the not original, the self, what word am I trying to use? The kind of forevers, the Spider-Man I actually enjoyed more. Anyway, just let's focus. Let's focus. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's focus. Deadpool and Wolverine just didn't really seem to be focused. It was just a mishmash.
Focus on what?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Who says it wasn't focused on that?
I didn't feel like it was focused.
You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people feel like it did.
That's
it was. I feel like it was.
Okay.
I feel like again, because you didn't like the story, all the cameos and the surprise characters drowned out the focus of the movie for you because you weren't invested.
So what was the focus of the movie?
So the main focus of the movie was you have Deadpool, who he wants to do something so that he matters, right? He wants to be important. He doesn't want to always just be the person. He uses jokes a lot, but he also wants to have a purpose in life, right? So you have Wolverine, who has his own issue of he basically, I guess you say, depressed because of mistakes he's made.
I got so much to talk about. Go ahead.
So you have them both on their own journey of Deadpool on a journey of becoming more important and having a purpose in life. We have Wolverine basically accepting his past and being able to look forward to the future and not just wallowing in depression or in grief, or however you want to look at it. That's their two arcs. That's the whole focus of them two.
So, all right, let's break it down. Deadpool want to be accepted. So that could be a movie. But one, we've been building up. He's been mentioning Wolverine, so that was just a natural, and plus, it's a fun movie. So let's add Wolverine. All right, we got that. So that's two people trying to, collide and go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That could be something. But let's add the TVA because we got all this other stuff going on. So we got the TVA doing their thing. And then you have this villain because obviously Deadpool, Wolverine could just slice the TVA guy's head off. So we have to have an actual villain in the movie. So let's put this other person in this whole different area at the end of time. And then we have to get these people over there. So the Wolverine that's in his universe is dead. We don't have to talk about that because it's Fox X-Men universe. That's just what happened. It's dead. So how do we get Wolverine into this? Well, let's go have the universe jump in to go get a Wolverine to put him over here. That Wolverine does not replace the anchor being in there, so technically it would not stop this universe from dying, which is a whole separate thing. So anyway, now we have to get them to the void. Like you see, like we're going all over the place, but I'm not done.
I feel like you're.
I'm telling you the movie. This is the movie.
You're explaining. So here's the thing. You're taking a simple plot and you're overanalyzing it.
I'm just telling you the plot.
You're telling me what happens in the movie. The overall plot is what I explained.
So
you have two people who are on a journey from A to B. Now there's a lot of stuff that happens in between those 2 points, but the overall journey is they're going from here to there. Now what all happens for them to go, what all they got to go through to get to that arc or that eventual realization or whatever, that's just cannon fodder basically. But they have 2 arcs that they're on, 2 journeys that they're on.
Oh, there's a lot of journeys.
No, not the 2 characters. The 2 characters have 2 different motivations for why they're doing what they're doing. And at the end, they get to those points. So what happens between those points, all that's great, all that's fun, but they get to these points because they reach that arc.
So Wolverine initially didn't even have an arc. Like we gave him an arc because he was fine in a bar just chilling because he was just miserable. So we put him over here and we said, hey, we can fix your universe. So we made that up. That's fine. That's like we need Wolverine in the movie. That's fine. So his whole thing could be, hey, Mr. TVA, let's go back there and fix this universe. So they could have got a tin pad, went back in time, and then, did whatever. Let's insert Wolverine here and then save his universe.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool mattered. End of the movie. Focused.
Here's the thing, James. This is why I feel like you're overanalyzing it.
That was not overanalyzed. That was simple.
Listen, let me finish.
Okay.
This is why I feel like you're overthinking all of it, right? Any movie that you can talk about,
mm-hmm.
there are certain points that you can change and make the movie shorter and make it different.
I agree.
What I'm saying is, do I agree that you could have done something different with the movie and it could have been better or it could have been, different movie? Obviously, yes. But as far as the movie that we were given, there was a point A, there was a point B, there were two journeys, they got to point B.
That's a movie. That is a beginning, middle, and the end.
That's all I'm saying.
That doesn't mean that it was focused. Just because they got a beginning, middle, and the end doesn't mean that
it was
focused.
Because they reached an arc.
That is a movie.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a movie if they didn't reach the end.
That's focus.
So then every movie is focused and no movie is bad then.
No, there are movies where there are focused. There are movies where they don't reach an arc that they set up in the beginning.
Give me an example.
I don't know.
That's what I was like.
But all I know is there are clearly movies, there are clearly TV shows where this person starts off wanting to do this and they never get there, or they go away from it and they never get to that point. Wolverine wanted to go from here. Granted, I was to see that originally he didn't have it, but when he had it, he wanted to go from A to B. He got to B. Deadpool started off wanting to go from A to B, and he got there. Now, how they got about it, how they got there. There's a lot of stuff happening in between. I will give you that. Mm-hmm. But it was focused in the sense of like, this is the journey that they want to go on. This is where they want to be, and they got there.
Okay, that's a movie. I don't. That's okay.
So what about it is not focused?
I was telling you.
No, you're just explaining what happens in the movie. Give me a short synopsis of why it wasn't focused.
Because we have these, like you said, they had this motivation. And
mm-hmm.
to get to there, they had to go over here. They had to find this person.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had to find these people.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had to get back over here, which sent them to this other place. To go back to that original person to say,
So they had a journey to go on.
Yes, but I mean, that was me simplifying it because you didn't want me to go.
Because all you're going to do is explain what happens in the movie.
Which
I'm saying, the reason I'm saying is because anybody could just say what happens in the movie, but that doesn't explain why it's not focused. What you're just saying is they had different stops to make on this journey to get to this certain point.
Being a focused movie, focus literally means like, what's the word? I'm going to say, getting not focused. No, you can't use focus in the word definition for focus.
Understandable.
But not getting rid of the excess.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of excess. So if you want to focus on Deadpool, Wolverine mattering, let's just say, all right, like if you want to include Paradox and Time Ripper,
mm-hmm.
let's go over here, and then the focus thing, once they put the helmet on old girl,
mm-hmm.
kill her, and then go back over here, the day is saved.
But my thing is, even in a movie, you have to have obstacles, right? You have to have things to do, right? So with Deadpool, his main focus was mattering. His main focus was saving the people in his universe, which is the people in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
That was his sole determining thing throughout the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
He even showed you, granted, I felt like old girl should have been in the movie more, his girlfriend, but that's neither here nor there. But they showed you, flashbacks of him talking to her and, him breaking up over the fact that he's been wilding on the fact that he got turned down from Avengers, all that kind of stuff. So you have these things that's pushing him forward because he's keep pushing against the fact that I want to matter.
Mm-hmm.
And he started off accepting the fact that, I can matter if I just step into the Marvel Universe, but I don't want to do that because I want to bring my people with me.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving towards that, right? You have Wolverine. Didn't have any kind of, we don't know. We'll just say that because when we met him, he was in a bar. But obviously he had some kind of agenda because he put on the suit that they've been asking him to wear for all these years. So he had some kind of agenda. He had some kind of, whatever. So then you tell him, there's a chance we can make your life better or go back and change it. Cool. Now I'm moving towards that. Sideline, oh, well, you know what? We had this argument about the fact that you lied to me. But you know what? At the end of the day, I do want to change. I do want to be a better Wolverine, better Logan. You say, I will make this sacrifice. Because did you see him obviously doing the sacrifice at the beginning of the movie? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But he got to the point to where he wanted to do that because he wants to be a better Logan. But they had to go through these journeys, these stops, these obstacles to get there. Because it was focused on those two being the people that they want to be at the end of the day.
I guess we have different definitions of focus because there's a lot of excess in the movie that could have been cut out to focus on these two characters getting there.
No, I get the point you're making about the focus. I guess what I'm arguing is I don't see it as excess. I see it as obstacles and journeys they had to go through to get to that point. Like to you, I guess what you're using excess is like, oh, we did because we had to do this stop, or do all this stop, or blah 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 blah. Again, goes back to if you invested in the story, you wouldn't see it that way. But because you don't want to invest in the story, a lot of things stand out to you.
All right, so we can talk about the other stuff. So you asked about, I don't know if you said other cameos or whatever,
The
but
Wolverine.
yes. So I enjoyed, especially the tiny Wolverine. When you said like comic accurate, obviously he was a lot smaller than comic accurate. I think he's supposed to be like
short,
like 4'8", something like that, or maybe even I don't know. So it was a good joke. Definitely loved the Henry Cavill. I was hoping that he'd be cast as a Sentry, but that's a little bit too close to Superman. So I would have much have rather seen Henry Cavill as a more prominent piece of the MCU, but then, you know, one, he could not want to do superhero movies anymore, or two, you know, maybe they're like, well, we don't want to kind of riff off him being in the DC. You know, it could have been a lot of things. So it was just nice to see him. I thought, no homo, I thought he looked good, like as Wolverine. I was like, you know what? I in a different universe, I'd love to see that story.
I would take it.
Yeah. The Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, and then I remember seeing him on the X, and like not necessarily in the comic book because I didn't read them, but like it looked familiar. The image looked familiar.
So from what I heard, it's like one of the most iconic covers of a Wolverine comic.
So I mean,
I don't know what happens in it. I just know that part.
So let me ask you this. So you know, a what's the word? I guess I just answered my own question. So a comment. What's the word? What is the word when you don't like something?
When I don't like something?
It starts with a C. A critique, a criticism. The criticism of Multiverse of Madness was that, you know, you're going through all these multiverses, but you don't spend time. And, you know, I was going to say, does that apply to this one as he's going through? It's not called Multiverse of Deadpool. So.
I'm about to say, this movie wasn't advertised as it being multiverses of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doctor Strange was like, we gonna go to the we show you all the multiverses. Then it was like, I don't know if it was a minute or 2 minutes. It was like, hey, we did 6. All right, we good. We back to the same New York roof, but in a different universe. This one was just advertised as like, you're gonna see different people because of the void, but it's not necessarily like a multiverse. It's just like, oh, you may see some different variants because the void.
Yeah. There's some other things that I want to talk about, but I can't remember.
I will go back to my earlier point. Because I said my biggest gripe is the X-23 marketing side of it. But one of my not as big gripes was the fact of like I felt like the storyline between him and his girlfriend. It could have been. They could have did more with that. Yeah. And I guess I'm gonna say that because prior to watching this one, I know me and Veronica watched the first two because she hadn't seen him. Yeah. And so like, because I hadn't seen him in a while, so coming off of that, I was like, oh man, you know, Veronica. Well, not Veronica. What's the girl's name? Vanessa. I was like, oh yeah, man. You know, because you know she's in the trailer, so obviously she's there. I know something happens between them. But when I got to the movie, I was just like, Vanessa.
It almost
where's she at?
It almost seemed like maybe there's something like out of you know movie thing going on because I know she's married, but obviously that hasn't stopped her. She's been married for a while, so it's not like that stopped her before. Yeah. So it's like, what made this different? Did they just decide that they didn't want to focus on their relationship? I don't know, but yeah, that was kind of interesting. That hey, we're just not together anymore.
Yeah, that part I definitely feel like they could have done more with that. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means, but like I also think I mean other things could have been different, but I'm just based on what I was given. I'm cool with it. I liked it. Like, obviously, you could have done different things. You could have made different changes. It could have been a more whatever movie. Like, I think a lot of people's issue with it is because to go back to an earlier thing we talked about in the last episode was I feel like a lot of people, because it's Deadpool now in the MCU and you got Logan, which is X-Men, whatever. I feel like a lot of people expect it to be connected to a lot more than what it was, or to set up a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, oh, we're going to set up Secret Wars and do all this other kind of stuff. Like, I feel like that kind of let a lot of people down.
One thing that I remember hearing about, I don't want to say reviews, but people were saying like this is going to change how superhero movies are made in the future. And then they said some stuff like, yeah, this is going to change kind of how, because that incursions were a thing. So,
oh, it's because they introduced the anchor beings and things, stuff like that.
That, and then the universe, which is something I was about to talk about, the universe dying, and then they stopped that from dying, which is not.
Well, honestly, too, I don't think it was about to die. He said it was going to happen in another 1,000 years. So it was dying.
Yeah. So
I said that to you. I'm just because I know I've watched some reviews and people was like, "Oh, well, it didn't. Why it didn't? It wasn't about to die tomorrow. Like, right. It still had another 1,000 years."
That's what the time grip was for, so they can make it die. So I don't know if that is going to be considered an incursion, because from the comics, incursions are just like two Earths. They call it Earths, but universes crashing and then exploding. So does this? Are they separate? Because what people were saying about the changing how movies are done in the future, are you saying that if they do what Deadpool and Wolverine did, does that stop an incursion? Is that what you're trying to say? Because that doesn't make any sense. So whatever they were talking about, stupid. What I don't think was explained very well, because the lady from TVA just said, whatever you guys did here, you saved your universe, you stopped it from dying. What did they do to stop it? Like, was it bringing Wolverine in? Was it them antimatter and matter put together? I wish they would have said that, because now it's like, well, we can. I don't know if they're going to do it in the future. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's.
But I like that though.
I guess my way of thinking is, when Logan died, there was no idea of a universe dying. Mm-hmm. Understandable. That was something separate. TVA didn't exist at that moment. Or I guess it has, but it hadn't been introduced. So in this movie, you introduced anchor beings making the universe die, and then you introduce these two people saving it, and then it saved the universe. So I guess I don't know. I wish. I feel like it's not going to matter.
You don't know that yet.
Exactly. So I mean, in the future we'll see, but
that's my thing. Like, and I guess this is my point too. Because it's like, I'm not basing how I feel about this movie on. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying in general. I guess some people may be, but like, I'm not basing how I feel about this movie on the implication. I'm lying. I can't talk today, man. The implications of future whatever. Like, for instance, okay, like Loki, right? Great shows, great seasons. But like, they had no bearing on anything after that. But I still think they are great seasons.
I agree.
So this movie is kind of like, I'm not saying that I just know for a fact they're gonna pay off the anchor being thing. I have no idea what's gonna happen to it. But based on how I feel right now, it's a good movie. Now, will it pay off in the future? I don't know. There's a lot of Marvel end credits stuff that haven't paid off yet. I still don't know where Doctor Strange's old girl went to. I don't know where they went, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just kind of like, if they pay it off, they pay it off. If they don't, that's the future thing. But for right now, I'm just gonna take it and accept it. I like the movie; it was cool. It's not a gripe, but one nitpick I had. I would have liked to, and I don't know if this has anything to do with, maybe they were trying to hold off on this for whatever reason, but I would have liked to have when Wolverine was telling his story about, you know, what happened to his people or whatever, to the X-Men. I would have liked to have seen some of that.
And that is one thing that I read up on. They were saying that, you know, they thought about filming it, but then they didn't want it to take away from Deadpool and Wolverine, their story. But
yeah. I mean, it could have at least, it could have just been like okay, like with Iron Man, you know, he had the Flash or all the Avengers dead.
Yep.
It could have been just that.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
So about that, you know, it happened. Like the movie said, it happened. So I mean, we just have to assume that, you know, I guess whatever. But my thing is, one, they're fighting against humans. And sure, humans are capable of such and such. You have sentinels, you have all kind of things. Obviously, you know, we saw X-Men '97. I know you haven't watched it. That things can get pretty messed up for mutants. But if Jean Grey, Professor X, Magneto, all these people couldn't, you know, stop whatever happened, I don't think Wolverine would have made a difference. And I know,
of course not.
Yeah. So in my head, you know, I'm like. It's kind of paper thin, like if you think about it, but Wolverine would beat himself up over. So I can understand why he would be sad. But for, you know, Paradox's sake, you got the worst Wolverine. He let the whole place down, blah 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 blah. He wouldn't have made a difference. Like he wasn't the savior. He wasn't gonna stop. He wasn't gonna save the humans.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, it's also a thing of like, because survivor's guilt is a real thing.
Yep.
It's also just, you know, even though because he probably knows I probably would have made a difference, but in his mind it's probably like, at least I could have been there to die with everybody else.
Yep.
Like, I could have tried.
Yep.
I don't know, but you know, like I said, it's, hey man, you know, I still like the movie. I'm interested to see what happens going forward. You know.
So I'm not. I've got you know my movies that I think it's either 4 or 5 movies that I don't plan on ever watching again. Mm-hmm. It's not down. It's down there, but it's not one of those movies. I gotta watch it again. But it's down there.
I mean, I would like. Here's the thing. Like, I liked it. I mean, am I gonna just rush out to watch it again? No. But then again, like one of my all-time favorite movies that I have on my like top 5, top 10 list. I probably haven't seen it maybe twice. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't really rewatch a lot of movies.
Yep.
Just to be watching them. I think some of the movies that I've watched multiple times has only been because, you know, when I go home, you know, my mom's house, you know, when she had cable, like if it's on cable, oh, I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is, you know, but like, am I just putting on Inception just to watch it? No.
Yeah.
It's still a great movie, but I just don't rewatch a lot of movies like that.
It's like Zack Snyder. So one thing that I can kind of poke a hole in that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I like the movie. I think it's great. It's much better than the original Justice League, but it is 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I saw it once.
I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but I liked it.
Yeah. I just recently finished watching the Rebel Moon movies too.
Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the first one. I didn't watch the second one.
I would say the second one is better than the first one.
Okay.
But then again, I don't know if it's better because of the first one. I don't know. They're okay. There's also an animated. I don't know if it's animated. I know they just dropped like a 3-hour version on Netflix of the first part or both parts. It's like an uncut version of both of them.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think they're animated though. I'm not sure. From what I heard, they're just a lot more gory, a lot more like story development and stuff like that, or character development.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anything else you want to mention before we go? I know you're excited about. You mentioned earlier. I know you said you're excited about Robert Downey Jr. I get it. I understand. Mm-hmm. I hear you. My only thought is, do I think they should have cast him? In short, do I think they should have cast him as Doom? No. Am I willing to see what they do with him? Yes. Am I excited? Yeah.
Like I said, Robert Downey Jr. is a good actor, a great actor. I don't know how you want to put him. Mm-hmm. So, I have no doubts that he can give us a rendition of Doom. I've only known Doom from the other movies, so I know, from videos that I've watched of Doom, he can be very pompous, arrogant, and, Iron Man obviously is arrogant, but I think it's a different kind of arrogance. Yeah. So it'd be, like I said, I'd be interested to see it, but I would rather somebody else bring. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna see him as Robert Downey Jr., but it's like I almost gonna see him as Robert Downey Jr. And some people are probably maybe can't even kids probably see Robert Downey Jr. immediately think Iron Man.
Well, like here's the thing. Like I feel like that's just a given because I mean, I'm sure a lot of people see Chris Hemsworth in the Extraction movie and they see Thor. Like when you play a certain character for a long time, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
For the longest, it's been Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Just in different movies. Oh, that's Harry Potter, and whatever movie. Like you can't get away from certain things.
But now that I think about it, I think that's the whole point because like if it is. However you want, I don't know if it's Doom, taking over his mind, or if it's just Tony Stark becoming, either way it go, I guess it would be some version of Tony Stark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, but like I don't know, it's just that's why I said like I'm not gonna count it out because one, I don't know what the story is, I don't know what version he's gonna be, whatever, so I don't know. I just know, do I think they could have got somebody else? Yeah, of course, but am I willing to see what they do with it? Yeah. My only hesitation has nothing to do with them casting Robert Downey Jr. My only hesitation is he going to be the Doom going forward, or is he just going to be the Doom for these 2 movies, and then somebody else takes up the mantle? Like that's what I'm unsure about.
Yeah.
As far as them casting him, I'm not like Robert Downey Jr. But I see it. I see what they do.
Do you miss Jonathan Majors?
I feel like I should have kept him, man.
Yeah, I don't, obviously, the video just showed him, it didn't really show whatever, but, I mean, I didn't like Quantumania, but I didn't have a problem with Kane, so I would have...
Well, yeah, and that's my thing, like, even though, like, Quantumania wasn't the best representation of him, as far as, like, the best introductory movie for him as Kane, I was all in for it. Mm-hmm. Now, what they did going forward, whatever, but
yeah.
Do I think that was the best movie to introduce him? But I think part of the issue with that was, I'm just thinking about what you said when we got through watching. I think part of the issue was you introduce him in Ant-Man, and then prior to that, you come out and say, "Oh, this is the new big bad." Mm-hmm. So they put a lot of weight on him out the gate, as opposed to just let him show up. Mm-hmm. And like, because then if you don't mention him being the big bad or him having a movie or whatever, then he comes out, it came. And then Ant-Man, they push him into the thing or whatever. You don't usually like, oh man, you don't have no high expectation for him. Right. But when you come out and say, this is going to be the new bad Avengers Kang Dynasty, and then the ants show up, and you're just like, okay.
I will say that Doom being, I guess, announced is, I'll say better, because Secret Wars is Dr. Doom. Like, Dr. Doom played a pivotal part in Secret Wars. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Kang even had anything to do with it. So I'm glad that they are kind of righting the ship in that aspect.
But here's the thing, who's to say Doom wasn't going to show up anyway?
That's actually something else that I was thinking of. Kang could have been the big bad for Kang Dynasty, and then Doom had something to do with Secret. I don't know. We don't know.
I mean, he could have played a part, but like, I feel like because of what happened with Majors, they had to kind of just move him up. Like, all right, we're going to make a Doomsday now.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. All right, Jazz.
Yep.
I think that's all I got.
Well, you can find me on Instagram, HAPPEE, _, MILS. We have a YouTube, Big and Short of it all. I can never remember. Big and Short of it all.
If you watch this, you know where it's at.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram at DA_Bear, BEAR29. You mentioned the TikTok.
Yeah, we got a TikTok.
Mm-hmm. We got a Snapchat.
Instagram.
We got an X. We got Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
We got a Twitter. Mm-hmm. We got a MySpace.
I was about to say MySpace.
we got a Black People.
Black Planet.
All of that.
Okay.
No, before we got Instagram, Big Short of it all.
If you want to date the Big and Short of it all, okay, Cupid.
Oh yeah. What was it? Only Farmers or Farmers?
Oh my goodness.
Farmers.
Christian Mingle.
Nah, it's one from Farmers.
Yeah.
It's Farmers something.
I know what you're talking about. I've heard of it.
What was it? It's Farmers. I don't know. Yeah, man. All of that.
Positive signals.
Wow. Hey, you by yourself on that one.
All right.
You can cut that out as you want to.
Thank y'all for listening.